It was a moment no one ever wanted to face. The music world stood still as friends, family, and fans came together for one final goodbye to Michael Eugene Archer, known to millions as D'Angelo. The man who changed R&B forever was gone. His voice had defined an era, but now it was silent. The final farewell wasn't just emotional, it was heavy with the pain of losing a legend who had touched so many lives. The funeral service took place quietly, away from the cameras and crowds. Only close family and lifelong friends were allowed to attend. Reports revealed that the ceremony began early in the morning, attended by a small circle including Angie Stone, Questlove, Erykah Badu, and Lauryn Hill. They weren't just fellow artists. They were people who had shared years of music, memories, and struggles with him. Their faces showed the weight of loss, knowing that an irreplaceable voice was gone forever. D'Angelo's family wanted the day to reflect who he truly was, a private, humble man behind the fame. His son, Michael Suavo Twain Archer Jr., stood near the front, struggling to hold back tears. In his short speech, he said, "My dad wasn't just a musician. He was a father who always told me to stay true to my sound and never let the world change me." His words broke the silence in the room. Many attendees wept quietly, realizing the deep bond D'Angelo had with his son. Angie Stone, who had shared years of love and partnership with D'Angelo, also spoke. Her voice trembled as she said, "We had our ups and downs, but he was always a man of passion and purpose. He gave his heart to music, and music gave him everything, and took a lot from him too." Her words reminded everyone that fame had not been easy for him. The pressure, expectations, and emotional battles often shadowed his genius. Lauryn Hill was seen comforting Angie as the service continued. Questlove, D'Angelo's longtime collaborator and friend, stood by the casket with his head lowered. He later shared that he couldn't find the words to describe the pain. He said, "I've lost a brother. We came from the same fight, to make real music that meant something. There will never be another D'Angelo." His words captured what many felt but could not say. The ceremony was simple but powerful. There were no long speeches and no dramatic moments, only heartfelt words, prayers, and songs that defined who D'Angelo was. One of his closest friends played a soft piano version of Untitled, How Does It Feel, the song that had made him a superstar. Everyone knew that song carried a piece of his soul, and hearing it one last time made the moment even harder to bear. After the tributes, the pastor spoke briefly about D'Angelo's journey, from a church singer in Richmond, Virginia, to a worldwide icon. He reminded everyone how D'Angelo had once said in an interview, "Music is my way of talking to God." It was a simple but powerful truth. His music wasn't about fame or awards. It was his way of expressing what words could not. As the service ended, those close to him shared quiet moments with the family. There were hugs, silent tears, and memories exchanged. People remembered his laughter, his honesty, and how he always stayed real even when the world tried to change him. Many said that despite his fame, D'Angelo had always stayed connected to his roots, faith, family, and music. Outside the church, fans had gathered to pay their respects. They held pictures, albums, and handwritten letters. Some were crying, others were softly singing his songs. They knew they wouldn't see him again, but his music would always remain. One fan told a reporter, "He taught us that soul music still has a heart. He brought truth back into music." Those words summed up what he meant to a generation. D'Angelo's body was later taken to be buried in his hometown of Richmond. Family and a few close friends traveled together for the private burial. Reports say that as the coffin was lowered, his son placed a handwritten note on top that read, "Thank you for teaching me everything." Angie Stone stood nearby, holding their son's hand. It was a moment that needed no words. In the days following the funeral, tributes flooded social media. Artists from across genres expressed their pain and gratitude. Erykah Badu wrote, "We lost one of the real ones. His sound was pure magic." Justin Timberlake shared, "D'Angelo changed music forever. His voice was a gift from another world." Even Beyoncé posted a black heart with the words, "Rest easy, King." The world mourned together, but each fan had a personal story. Many said his songs had helped them through heartbreak, loneliness, and pain. Brown Sugar, Lady, and Untitled were not just songs. They were emotions wrapped in melody. D'Angelo had made people feel seen and understood through his music. Industry experts compared his influence to that of Marvin Gaye and Prince. Like them, D'Angelo combined raw emotion with musical brilliance. But his journey was filled with struggles. Fame hit him fast, and he often stepped away from the spotlight to protect his peace. His 14-year gap between albums showed how much he valued authenticity over pressure. That struggle now seemed like a warning about the heavy cost of genius. In one interview years ago, he had said, "I never wanted to be a star. I just wanted to make music that lasts." And that's exactly what he did. Even though his life ended too soon, his songs continue to live. They play in cars, radios, and memories of those who loved him. His voice remains a part of the soul of R&B. The funeral became more than just a goodbye. It was a reminder of what D'Angelo stood for. He represented purity in music, honesty in art, and vulnerability in expression. He wasn't just another singer. He was a storyteller of pain, faith, and love. Every artist who came after him carried a small piece of his influence. 1 week after his burial, his family released an official statement thanking everyone for the support. It read, "We are grateful for the love and respect shown for our beloved Michael. His spirit will live through his music and through all who were touched by his art." Fans shared that message across social media, with thousands posting their favorite memories of him. Radio stations around the world played his hits on repeat. In Richmond, a candlelight vigil took place at the same church where he first sang as a boy. People stood together, holding candles and singing "Really Love." It was both beautiful and heartbreaking. For those who had grown up with his music, it felt like losing a friend. Music historians said his passing marked the end of an era, the neo-soul movement he helped create in the late 1990s. With artists like Maxwell, Jill Scott, and Erykah Badu, he brought soul back to modern music. His influence could still be heard in newer artists like H.E.R., Daniel Caesar, and Anderson .Paak. They all credited D'Angelo for showing that emotion and artistry could exist together. Behind all the fame and recognition, D'Angelo's personal battles were well known. He had struggled with depression, anxiety, and substance issues at different times, but those who knew him said he was always trying to heal. Angie Stone once said, "He carried a heavy heart, but he never stopped trying to find peace." That effort defined his later years. In the months before his death, close friends said he had become more reflective and family-oriented. He often talked about his children and how he wanted to make more time for them. He had even started working on new music, something fans had been waiting for. But fate didn't give him that chance. His loss felt like a chapter closing too soon. When news broke of his passing, there was shock and disbelief. Fans refused to accept it at first, remembering how strong he seemed just months earlier. But as details came out, the reality hit hard. He was gone at a time when his voice was needed most in the music world, a world often dominated by trends instead of truth. Fred Durst of Limp Bizkit once said in a tribute, "D'Angelo reminded us what soul sounds like when it's real." That statement echoed across platforms because everyone knew it was true. D'Angelo's music had no filters. It came straight from pain, faith, and honesty. And that's why it continues to connect with people long after his passing. In his final years, D'Angelo had told a friend, "If I ever leave, I just want people to say my music meant something." Looking at the millions who cried, sang, and remembered him, it's clear that wish came true. His music meant everything to those who grew up with it. The funeral ended, But the mourning did not. For weeks, fans visited his hometown, leaving flowers, letters, and guitars outside the church. Local media called it the Street of Soul. It became a symbol of how much one man's music could change lives. For his son and family, the healing will take time. Losing a father, partner, and brother is never easy. But they can take comfort knowing his legacy lives on. His records continue to inspire new artists and remind the world that music is not just about sound. It's about feeling. Even though D'Angelo is no longer here, his message remains clear. Stay true. Stay real. Stay soulful. That was his life philosophy, and that's what made him unforgettable. As the world says goodbye to him, one question remains. How will the music industry fill the void he left behind? Can anyone ever carry his legacy forward with the same honesty and heart? This final goodbye is not just about mourning a man. It's about remembering what he stood for. D'Angelo's voice may have gone silent, but his spirit still speaks through every note he ever sang. And maybe that's the true measure of greatness. Not how long someone lives, but how deeply they touch the world before they go. So as fans, we remember him not in sadness, but in gratitude. Because even though D'Angelo is gone, his music, his soul, will live forever.